Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brownstone. I'm your host, Dr. Michele, and you're listening to Numbers Don't Lie, where you learn to get out your feelings so you can make the best decisions for yourself, your family, and your business. Well, y'all, this is actually a very special episode because I have another Black woman data scientist in the same space at the same time. What are the odds, huh? You get to join in and see this history making moment in action. I know I meet a lot of people. There's not a lot of brown people in the data space or tech space, so you put woman on top of it. We're the only one in the room many times, but the fact you get two at the same time, you definitely want to tune in. And this is actually a great opportunity for if you have young people that are interested in math or science. This is an exposure opportunity as well. We're going to talk about what we do, how we serve our clients, but this is a cool career path that we want more people that look like us to come on in. So let me introduce my guest, Tamika Smith. I met her, it was one of those things that we both happened to be at the right place at the right time. We met each other at a conference, and I'm like, I got to get you on my podcast. So, welcome to the Numbers Don't Lie stage, Tamika Smith.
Thank
Hi,
you, Dr. Michelle,
Tamika.
for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited too. So, let's go ahead and dive in. Tell the people about yourself and how you got into this field.
Sure. So I am a data scientist. I've been in the data analytics space for about 10 years. I am a graduate from Howard University where I received my degree in mathematics. At the time, I had no idea what data was or that it existed. But during the course of internships, I was placed with the actuary and then I was placed with coding. So I thought I was going to be a coder originally, but then when I graduated and I was started full time with them, they started me in this analyst position with a call center. And so they figured I'm in math. I should be able to figure out numbers because they data analysts was new to this particular company in this particular department. And so I literally stumbled across this concept of data analytics and how it could be valuable. And I started with that team with the call center. The enterprise analytics team manager got wind of the work that I was doing, and I was NBA drafted to her team. I had no say so. And 10 years later, I've grown from an entry level data analyst all the way up to a data scientist. So I've done everything from basic spreadsheets and analysis and Tableau, Power BI to predictive models for very large companies. So it's been a great journey, and I'm very happy to be one of the fortunate ones that can actually use their degree. So that mathematics background does translate well into the data analytics space, especially since I spent some time learning to code as well while I was at Howard. So being a data scientist, you very well know it's very much a combination of statistics, math, coding, data visualization, all of that. And I just happened to be well prepared for it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it and given that value. So that's how I ended up in the space.
That is so cool because I actually started, I thought it was gonna be, well, I did do it for a little bit as a math teacher. So when I went to school at North Carolina Central
Really?
University, my own HBCU,
Come on now.
I was in secondary mathematics education.
That was my concentration. So you had to pick a concentration at
Yeah.
Howard. I didn't know which one. So that's why I did like actuary. I studied a little bit. I did coding a little bit. And then I landed on secondary education. So I took the practice exam. I was certified to teach in DC, but I was like, I don't want to be a teacher, but if I can't get no job, I know they're gonna need math teachers somewhere. So that's crazy. I didn't know that.
No, that's really cool because I'm the same way Tamika said, she's like, I didn't necessarily know about this field. I didn't either. The only thing
Mm,
I knew that I liked math, I was good at it, and the only exposure I had was math teachers. And so I
mm.
started there, and then I went to a summer program. That's when I saw, because I had not yet taken statistics. It was a part of my, curriculum. Had to move some
Yeah.
things around. I didn't end up taking it to senior year, but before senior year, there was I went to this program and I got to see the statistics group present because I was in the number theory group. We was in
Yes.
there lost
Wow,
the
girl,
whole
you was
summer,
smart,
girl.
smart.
No,
Just
we was like,
lost.
what is going on? But the statistics group, it was so cool to me and it made me very excited. So I went back to school. This is a nerdy thing y'all probably gonna hear me say. I went
Wow.
back to school and I was so excited to take my statistics class. And I tell you, I killed that class. I loved it. I love my book. I let my friend borrow my book and she lost it. Girl, I was so mad because I love that book. I loved it. And so, but at this time, I still didn't know about data science, but data science and all this, it was still very new. So
Yeah,
this is like over
yeah,
10 years ago. So the field is
right.
blown up. And like you said, most people enter it into it coming from math and statistics. So like it all fit in there. So like when I landed into
Mhm.
it, I'm like, okay, I started as a data analyst. And
Okay.
then once I started full time, I was like, oh, we're going to move you to this data science position. It's pretty much what you already know how to do. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But now that
Mhm.
I hear where the field is going, like data science field is predicted to grow like 30% over the next
Yeah,
few years. So I'm
yeah.
like, oh, we're positioned at the right place at the right
Yes,
time
with the right skills.
with the right skills.
Oh man,
I love
that's
that.
awesome to hear your story. And you said something that resonated with me. Ah, geez, was it the degree? No, statistics. So like that's like what I sucked in the most. So a lot of the other stuff came, the like all the calculus work and theory. But when I got the stats, I was like, if I gotta do another T test, Z test, and remember which one is which, that was a struggle. And then that actually was a key piece in like the actuary piece and having to take the exams. It was like my least favorite subject. So you have had an opposite experience of like that was like something that like really motivated and gave you energy. I'm just like, okay, well, I know who to pass the stats work to because like, okay, I know I got to do it when examining the quality of these models and the performance. But yeah, I'm very glad to hear you had a positive relationship with stats.
Yeah, I do it every day. I legit was just doing something the other day. I feel like this conversation taking a turn. We're gonna get to the how apply to your business in just a second, but this is the power of exposure.
Yes,
Like both her and I, we didn't know this field existed, even though it was new. Like careers that use math, you unless you know someone that does it, you're kind of just only know that one or two things. And so,
right.
like, oh, I can teach, I can be a professor, I can like that's kind of limited. But I'm like, it's the world is so much bigger than that.
Yes, it
But
is.
I don't know where I was going with it, but I'm very excited that we are both here, that we had similar experiences, and we found ourselves here, and we can open the door to the next Black woman that wants, a
Absolutely.
brown girl that wants to come to this field. So I'm just so
Absolutely.
happy.
Yes, I'm happy to be here too. I when we were at the conference and I heard your name mentioned that you were data scientist, like, where is she? Where? Where? There's another data scientist and she's black. I gotta meet her. So yeah, I had the same sentiments because again, it's not I mean, in my experience, I've been like, I'm just now have had experience recently where like there's another black person and like
Hmm.
two black people that were also like data science level, but they were men. So I
Hmm.
still like trying to find black women like on LinkedIn. I came across a woman who was a cybersecurity data scientist. I'm like, tell me
Wow.
about this. What is this? And she just deals with cybersecurity data. But yeah, it's such a thriving field and there aren't many of us, but we very well know black women are smart and capable of getting the job done. And so where we could spread the message that like and make just awareness because again we don't know like you hear about police
Right.
officers, doctors, attorneys, you hear all the high level ones and then you get to corporate America, it's like I never heard of this position or
Right.
this one or oh I could have studied this in college, maybe I didn't know that could be a career or be profitable. So,
Hmm.
exposure makes a world of a difference.
It absolutely does. Did you know that data driven organizations were 19 times more profitable? 19. You heard me right. Perhaps you're asking, what is data driven and how do I become one of those organizations? I'm so glad you asked. I want you to go take a quiz. It's a simple, quick quiz to help you assess if you are, in fact, one of those organizations. Head over to mogulbeginnings.com/data into dollars quiz now. That's mogulbeginnings.com. You can just go to mogulbeginnings.com and it'll show you the data into dollars quiz. Take it now. You'll see if you're on your way to 19xing your profitability. You're listening to Numbers Don't Lie on KCCR Cityscape. We hope you're enjoying the tunes and all the jams. Make sure you visit our website over at brownstoneworldwide.com to learn about all things Brownstone. You can check out Brownstone Living Magazine and all the great things that we have on the website, as well as the shop. You just got to head over to the website, brownstoneworldwide.com. So, Tamika, we both entered to this space. We worked for other people. How did you branch out into your own? And then tell us about like some of your favorite projects.
Sure. I actually started my business in 2019. It wasn't the first business I attempted, but it was the first data science, data analyst business. I've done the gamut. I've started a tutoring company. I started a hair braiding business. I've started because I have many skills, and you're probably laughing because you get it. When you have multiple skills, you don't know what to focus on because
Yep.
there are multiple things you're good at. And then again, we're numbers girls. I'm like, I got the skill. I know I can make some money in it, right? And then on top of that, my dad has had his own business for over 30 years now, and my
Wow.
grandfather also had his own construction business. So I've been exposed to having your own thing. And then being in college, like, well, I got a skill to make some extra money. But in 2019, I decided, like, let me actually put what I enjoy to work in it, start all these little side hustles and actually start to build a side business. And when I first started my business, I kind of struggled in picking a niche area because they
Mm-hmm.
always say like niche down, niche down. And in my career, I have been exposed to using data analytics in a variety of different industries. I worked in insurance, I worked in retail, I've done HR analytics, I've done fraud analytics. I have the skill to take the core skill set of data and data science and apply it to just different data sets, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, I start my business, I'll just do anything, right? Whoever got a problem, I just say, hey, I can do the data work, right? And that wasn't clear. It wasn't beneficial when trying to market, like share what do you do, who do you help? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I can help everybody and I can do everything because I've done everything from the data engineering to the data
Right.
visualization,
Data
right?
is data to us. So
Yeah, and we are
whatever.
responsible for the entire life cycle. Like when you get to the level of data scientist, you have been exposed to the entire data life cycle process,
Right.
right? Getting the data that's dirty, having to clean it, then transforming the data, then analyzing the data. Then if you're going to do something advanced like modeling or something else, doing that, and then putting the ETL process in, and then visualizing the data and share it. We've done everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, to say like I could do pretty much of anything, and that didn't help somebody because I need to be able to tell
Right.
them the problem they need to solve with the data. I started to I for me what worked for me, I went back through all the projects that I enjoyed throughout my career. And I recognized I most enjoy being able to show the value of different programs and initiatives. And that's what I call it impact. And so whether I was in HR, they want to know if their learning management system was working, if the courses were working, or if we put something protections in place to limit fraud on credit card applications when I was with a retail company. Everybody wants to know if what they were doing was working.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I enjoy being able to show that baseline, show that transformation. And I wanted to bring my skill set to people who needed it most. And so my thought was small businesses and nonprofits, they're doing great work, they want to grow, they want to be, I'm sure they have aspirations of being very large, but they probably don't know like how to use data or if data is critical. And once I started to start sharing some of that message, that idea of impact data that really started resonating with people. And was unaware initially that impact was such a big word in the nonprofit space.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up terming myself as the impact data architect. I help organizations that are delivering impact measure impact so that they can prove their impact and validate their value. So whether they're trying to go to their board to prove to the board like we need continued funding or we need more activity or we need more support, or if they're going after grants, or if it's a small business, it's service based, and they're trying to go for corporate contracts or government contracts. Oftentimes, those larger organizations are asking for data, but those
Yes.
executive directors of nonprofits or those CEOs of small businesses, they're so focused on trying to build, build, build. They aren't thinking about data. How am I tracking that? How am I measuring that? How am I going to show that? It's like, hey, somebody's going to ask for that. And when they ask
Yeah.
for it, you want to have it in advance and you don't want to have to play catch up. And oftentimes people are playing catch up, but so it's large companies too, because again, data is still fairly new. Even in my most recent career positioning, they're still trying to figure out how we're going to use data or let's figure out strategic roadmaps. So I like to tell smaller business owners, those leaders of nonprofits, like, don't feel bad that you're playing catch up. A lot of these companies are playing catch up too. I just need you to know, like, I don't expect you to be an expert in data. I just need you to know that it's important.
Right.
And then have the right resources, go after the right people who can bring some value to you.
Girl, you said a good mouthful and I love it. I really think so. One of my friends that know both of us, she was like, your doppelganger is on this meeting. And the more you talk, I'm like, oh my gosh, we like are the same person. I did tutoring. I used to braid hair.
What?
Now I didn't try to make a business out of them, but it's funny that like now, let me just last little pop quiz. Did you do anything to fitness world?
No, I didn't do
Okay, that's our
anything in
only difference.
fitness.
I'm a
No.
Zoom instructor. That's the only difference. But
I enjoy good Zoom. Yeah, I enjoy it. Like Zoom.
yep.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I like to get that, but I never try to teach it. No, I need somebody to hold me accountable.
So that's so fun and funny, but I loved how you said you started with small and went to the large. But you're so right. I think a lot of times small business owners and nonprofits, the smaller ones, do beat themselves up because they feel like they should be further along. Or I don't know this, but I'm like, no, it's a like you said, a lot of large companies. They are very. It's a mess behind the scenes. Like we don't
Mm-hmm.
see it. We only see the nice shiny websites and buildings and branding. But when it comes to like what's underserved, I'm not even just talking about data. I mean, just anything. Some of these large
Mm-hmm.
companies are just as a mess as yours. And yours is
Yeah.
more maybe because, and I don't want to say that's in a bad way, like it's a mess. I would say you're setting your foundation now. And a lot of them they have a shaky foundation because some businesses grew very quickly.
Yeah, it operated for years and didn't even think about it. So, like
Didn't
the
even think
whole
about it.
term of like legacy systems, legacies, that's just a key way to say that our stuff is old and we want to do new things and we want
Yeah.
new insights, but our stuff is old. So we have no way to do it. So now they're having to
Yep.
spend millions and millions of dollars because the scale in which they are now, they had to play catch up with their technology. And so,
Yes.
yeah, like these big businesses are dealing with it too. You're
Yeah, and
absolutely
so that's what put that actually kind of let's we talk about the what is the little SWOT. So even though it may seem like a weakness to you, was actually to your advantage if you are a small business or a startup company or a smaller nonprofit and you have not grown to the large scale yet, putting what we're talking about into practice now or just starting where you
right.
are and keeping that in your brain as you grow, that's going to serve you a lot better as opposed to you're into this 20 years. I'll say 10
Yeah.
years, make a little more real into this 10 years. And now you're trying to figure out, now you have a whole bunch of employees. Now you have stuff everywhere and you're trying to streamline
Mhm.
it. I'm telling you, even though you may feel like you're at a disadvantage, this is an advantage to you. You
Yeah.
start your playing field at the right place. Okay.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. God forbid, like these large companies want to do like historical analysis. Like, okay, well, let's go back 5 years. Your data is not clean enough or present enough or consistent enough for 5 years or
That's
10
so
years worth of data. When
true.
like now, like you need to know your again, boards, corporations deal with boards too. They want to know, well, like, well, what's the trends been? How do we compare to last quarter? Like right now, our economy, like, we're kind of like in this weird state before things take a shift or maybe like a
Mm-hmm.
downturn. Well, a lot of companies want to, how did we do? How did we fare back in 2008? And there are a lot of companies who don't have the right data to like know, like, are we doing
That's so
okay? Are we
true.
doing comparative? So if you're 5 years, 4 years into your business and like you're playing catch up, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And
Right.
even if you are 20 years, still do it because that's not an excuse for these larger corporations. They just recognize we got to do something about it. So it doesn't matter how late you're starting, still do it. It's so important.
It's start. Like that's really the message today is just start. Because I love what you
Hmm.
said. Like sometimes people want to do how we've been doing. We want to look at we call that overtime or longitudinal. You want to see, or like you said, even just compare to this time last year or whatever. If garbage in, garbage out is something
Yeah.
that we say a lot. If you don't have it or if it's not in the right format, it makes it hard for us to do our job. And we want to be able to answer those questions for you. We want to be able
Hmm.
to tell you how you've been doing quarter over quarter. We want to be able to say, oh, when you implemented this, so for all my small businesses out there, when you implemented a new coaching system or new software, this is the change. But you have to be able to have that understanding tracking top of mind. It
Yes.
cannot be an afterthought because I know we want to say, oh, our program has helped people, improve whatever by 30%, or we've reached this many people and this is our impact. But if you're
Hmm.
not thinking about that like before you implement it, it makes it so much harder for us to get those answers for you. And we don't
Absolutely.
we want it to be a good use of your money.
Hmm. Yeah. And if you want to, that's actually probably something I'll speak to about, you do want to go back. So now it takes some work to have to listen. Now we have to go find the people who you worked with 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and we hope that they'll respond to the survey data. We need enough people to respond to it, right? So going to do that to get that baseline information, because that's essentially what they want to know. By the time they come to me, especially for those that have never tracked any type of data before, they want to know if their program is working, but then they also want to know, well, we only know if our stuff was transformational or had an impact if we know where they were when they started, but they didn't capture the
Right.
data when they started. And so now we have to go and get like, hey, and I had to set realistic expectations. Like, okay, they may not remember this level of information, but maybe they'll remember a ballpark, whatever. But we have to do what we can to get a
Yeah.
baseline set so that we can actually compare that new information we're getting current day to say this is what your impact has been from this program. And there have been some programs that have around 5, 10, 15 years that didn't have
Mm,
tracking, that we had to go back and do we have the right email information, or like if they are the
man.
corporation, we only have their corporate email address, so we don't even know if they're the same company anymore, but it had to be done.
Girl. And so like this pool, so like you and I have a different lens of when we look at things. And so, I'm just gonna say this. And if this is you, listener, don't think I'm trying to beat you up, but we want you to be better. So let's say when someone sends a survey to me, I'm like, oh, I can tell you did this at the last minute. I can tell you did this on a whim. And what's gonna happen is people are gonna take it and you're not gonna get what you need from it.
Hmm.
So for example, someone was using like a survey to get people to like I guess express interest in something, whatever. That's fine. And I was kind of like, is this it? Like I
Yeah.
know you need more information in this. And so what happened is the person I guess that was over it sent me an email to clarify some information. All you had to do was just ask me on a survey. You're like, so we can tell when you do things last minute. If you just like, oh, I just want to know this real quick, you're gonna get some real quick stuff and it's not going to be what you need. So keeping
Yeah.
this people like me in your corner, people like Tamika in your corner to be able to like, hey, can I get a call with you? Can I get a strategy call with you? I'm thinking about doing this. I want to make sure I'm doing it right because y'all,
Hmm.
it's such a disservice to yourself, especially if you're paying to get like let's say you have to do it, you're paying for ads to get it out there
Yeah.
and you ask these questions and it's not the right ones or it's not enough or it was confusing and now you're stuck unless you're going to pay
Yeah.
that money again to do it all over again. Now you wasted time and money.
Absolutely. And I get it from both sides. So, for those that are like in a service-based business and they're like consultants, whatever, they have their own curriculums, they'll like try to create their own surveys to like
Mm-hmm.
measure impact, but they're only asking like, did the information meet your expectations? Rate the instructor. Did you learn something new? Like that's not impact. That's
That's
that's what
not.
I call outcome. That's what you did. Like, thank you for showing up today. Here's my
That's a
thoughts on what you did
checkbox.
today. It's a chat box. It's not impact. So when you have a Dr. Michelle, when you have myself come in to know the concepts when we're thinking about data and how to measure different things, the right thing to measure. Like I always ask them, especially those who are in consulting, I said, have you heard of the 4 levels of evaluation for training? They'd never heard of it before. I'm like, okay. And then I walk them through what are those 4 different levels of evaluation. Say, okay, and you're only measuring on level 1, but guess what?
Mm,
90% of you all are. But your level of impact starts at least at level 3. And I'm here to to help you think about that. Because then it's like, okay, yeah, I do need that. But they don't, their mind can't even think about like what are the right questions to ask.
right.
That is why you need an expert in that space. Or for those who are in the nonprofits who have been running their programs, we don't just create surveys or questions like this would be good to have. Like, no, let's actually talk about this. What action do you want to take with the information you have once the survey is completed?
That's good.
Okay, now let's sit down. Let's walk through your logic model because your logic model tells me the actions you take to make the impact that you're telling these donors, these foundations, whoever. Now that we have all of that information, now I'm going to bring what data looks like to answer these questions with the outcomes and actions you want to take. That concept, that processing, they don't have. And again, I tell them, I don't expect you to have that. You can try to do this by yourself, but there's a reason why we have scientists behind our name. There is a science to this, and
Yeah.
it takes some work, and it takes some exposure, and it takes some training.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you're just going to get surface level data. And if you don't have the right data to take the right action, then your actions are going to be horrible. But
Yeah.
we want you to be data driven. And if you're going to be data driven, you want to have the right data driving you.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad you look. We might have to make this a ongoing series, girl. I can talk about
We
this all day. Okay.
we can.
This has been phenomenal. I'm so you said so many things, and I hope this has helped you. And if it has, definitely just drop a comment,
Mhm,
send us a message on brownstoneworldwide.com because we want to know how this has helped you because I know this is probably very new for a lot of
mhm,
listeners. Like, when when I started doing this for a business, and like you said, I didn't start off here, but I'm like, well, I'm good at this. Let me just
mhm.
see where it goes. And I think it's a good sweet spot when you start talking to people that you work with data, that's kind of your superpower. That's how you help people with their productivity and their profitability. It's very
Mhm.
foreign. And I'm seeing people get it now. So at the conference we were at, people are
Yeah,
starting to get it now and understand like data should be behind every decision you make. But if you're listening, this is probably really new. Listen again.
yeah,
Go, reach out to
absolutely.
one of us. So Tamika, go ahead and tell them how they can reach out to you.
Sure. So I am on Instagram. And my Instagram handle is my business name, Perinorm Analytics, and the Perinorm is P with a Paul, P's and Paul, ERRYNORM Analytics, ANALYTICS. If Perinorm Analytics is my Instagram handle, and if you want to email, you can email info@perinormanalytics.com.
Yeah, so reach out to Tamika. You can also reach out to me. You can find me everywhere at Mogul Beginnings. That's MOGUL Beginnings on all social. You can Google, honestly, you can Google Mogul Beginnings. You can Google Perinorm Analytics and we'll come up. But if you know that you want to do some new products, some new services, you want to measure your impact, you want to go out to funding, you have to have conversation with stakeholders. You don't wait. Satisfaction surveys, like don't wait. You can try
Mhm.
doing your own, but I'm
You can
telling you,
try.
just getting an hour or two of our time will be so transformational. So reach
Yeah.
out to one of us. And then I'm excited to hear, like, hey, I heard you on that podcast episode. I want to hear that. Okay. Tamika wants to hear, like, oh, for real? We want to hear that.
Absolutely.
Our brains think
Absolutely.
differently, and we want to use it to help you be more profitable and productive.
Yeah. It's all about being of service to people because with the economy changing, the landscape is becoming more competitive, period.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that are making an investment into your company, whether that's a big client, whether it's a big grant you're going after for, now they want to know what is the ROI on their investment? What's the
Yep.
ROI? And if you can't measure and prove that, testimonials used to work, but there's so many people now. So you had to be able to stand out and say, not only do we have testimonials or feel good stories, now we actually have numbers, we have proof, we have information, we tracked our impact over time. And that helps you to stand out above the rest. And you want to be able to tell that story because not only can you use it for just that one client, but now since you have the story of success, you can use that when you're on advertising on social media.
Yep.
You can use that on YouTube. Like you could put that impact in so many places for so many more eyes to see it. It should be on your website.
Yep.
So have take advantage of the resources because it's not just an investment to have Dr. Michelle or myself. It's going to be a bigger ROI for you because you can have that
Absolutely.
data structured place at one time and then you have somebody to support it. Or imagine like having Dr. Michelle or myself to speak and tell the story of your data. Oftentimes people will have their data, but they don't know, I can't tell what this is telling me, or I don't know what to say. If we can tell the story and sell your information, that's a done deal, when trying to close something. So if you have something of value that you know is going to impact your community and you want to um, scale that, it's a good idea to make sure you have data backing that up.
I love that. See, y'all heard it.
Mhm.
You hear it from me all the time. Now you hear someone's echoing. Reach out to Tamika at Perry Norm Analytics on social media. You can just Google that as well. Find me at mogulbeginnings.com. All Things Mogul Beginnings. And then make sure you check out brownstoneworldwide.com.
Mm-hmm.
We got so many great things. I mean, so many good things happen over there. So make sure you check out brownstoneworldwide.com. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Numbers Don't Lie. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time.
Thank you. Thank